Hi guys! I did not see you there. Well, I was busy tending to my money tree plant, or scientifically known as the Pachira aquatica. Well, our generation is considered to be the plantitas and plantitas, right? But do we really understand what is happening within these organisms? Well, it's time for us to find out. For this lecture video, we'll be having plant form and physiology. Plants, in general, are organisms that belong to kingdom Plantae. They are any multicellular eukaryotic life forms characterized by the following. Photosynthetic nutrition, a characteristic possessed by all plants except some parasitic plants and underground orchids, in which chemical energy is produced from water, minerals, and carbon dioxide with the aid of pigments and the radiant energy of the sun. Essentially unlimited growth at localized regions. Cells that contain cellulose in their walls and are therefore, to some extent, rigid. The absence of organs of locomotion, resulting in a more or less stationary existence. The absence of nervous systems, and life histories that show an alteration of haploid and diploid generations, with the dominance of one over the other being taxonomically significant. Now, based from your junior high school and elementary science education, you might still remember that plants have two major organ systems. We have the root system and the shoot system. The shoot system is above the ground and includes organs such as leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits. The root system, on the other hand, is below the ground and includes the roots and modified stem structures, such as rhizomes and tubers. Each plant system has specialized function. The graphic shown on your screen identifies the function of the shoot and root systems of plants. In a nutshell, these two vegetative plant systems interact to perform vital functions such as transportation, reproduction, and response in plants. Now let's discuss plant tissue. Plant tissue systems fall into one of two general types. We have meristematic tissue and permanent or non-meristematic tissue. Cells of the meristematic tissue are found in meristems, which are plant regions of continuous cell division and growth. Meristematic tissue cells are either undifferentiated or incompletely differentiated, and they continue to divide and distribute to the growth of the plant. In contrast, permanent tissue consists of plant cells that are no longer actively dividing. Meristems produce cells that quickly differentiate or specialize and become permanent tissue. Such cells take on specific roles and lose their ability to divide further. They differentiate into three main types: dermal, vascular, and ground tissue. First, let's have dermal tissue. Dermal tissue is known to cover and protect the plant. The dermal tissue of the stem consists primarily of epidermis, a single layer of cells covering and protecting the underlying tissue. Epidermal cells are the most numerous and least differentiated of the cells in the epidermis. Woody plants have a tough, waterproof outer layer of cork cells commonly known as bark, which further protects the plant from damage. The epidermis of a leaf also contains openings known as stomata, through which the exchange of gases takes place. Two cells, known as guard cells, surround each leaf stoma, controlling its opening and closing, and thus regulating the uptake of carbon dioxide and the release of oxygen and water vapor. Trichomes, on the other hand, are hair-like structures on the epidermal surface. They help to reduce transpiration, which is the loss of water by above-ground plant parts, increase solar reflectance, and store compounds that defend the leaves against predation by herbivores. Now let's proceed to vascular tissue. Vascular tissue transports water, minerals, and sugars to different parts of the plant. The xylem and phloem that make up the vascular tissue of the stem are arranged in distinct strands called vascular bundles, which run up and down the length of the stem. When the stem is viewed in cross-section, the vascular bundles of dicot stems are arranged in a ring. In plants with stems that live for more than 1 year, the individual bundles grow together and produce the characteristic growth rings. In monocot stems, on the other hand, the vascular bundles are randomly scattered throughout the ground tissue. Xylem has three types of cells: xylem parenchyma, or ground tissue cell; tracheids, and vessel elements. The latter two types conduct water and are dead at maturity. Tracheids are xylem cells with thick secondary cell walls that are lignified. Water moves from one tracheid to another through regions on side walls known as pits, where secondary walls are absent. Vessel elements are xylem cells with thinner walls. They are shorter than tracheids. Each vessel element is connected to the next by means of a perforation plate at the end walls of the element. Phloem is composed of sieve tube cells, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. A series of sieve tube cells, also called sieve tube elements, are arranged end-to-end to make up a long sieve tube, which transports organic substances such as sugars and amino acids. The sugars flow from one sieve tube cell to the next through perforated sieve plates, which are found at the end junctions between two cells. Companion cells are found alongside the sieve tube cells, providing them with metabolic support. And the last type of plant tissue is known to be the ground tissue. It serves as a site for photosynthesis, provides a supporting matrix for the vascular tissue, and helps to store water and sugars. Ground tissue is mostly made up of parenchyma cells, but may also contain collenchyma and sclerenchyma cells that help support the stem. The ground tissue towards the interior of the vascular tissue in a stem or root is known as pith, while the layer of tissue between the vascular tissue and the epidermis is known as the cortex. Let us have a more thorough discussion about plants on our synchronous classes. I'll see you. Thank you, and God bless.